敬礼萨迦正空上师，敬礼16世大宝王卡玛巴，敬礼图登达尔吉上师。
Homage to Master Tupten Tarji, homage to the main deity of Homa from the Shambhala country, the White Lotus King. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Sumu, all Dharma masters, Dharma teachers, Dharma educators, Dharma instructors, Dharma assistants, temple directors, all disciples present here and over the internet, and our participating VIPs today, the wife of the Taiwan representative to Sweden, Dharma Sister Judy, the law advisor to Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Jennifer Zhou, CTI TV Taiwan, the producers for Geni Tensang Shinton, Dharma Sister Rebecca Shiachi, and Latin from Malaysia, Li Qing, and the daughter Li Qi, Dr. Lin Su-hua, and from Indiana University, a professor in economy, Dr. Lin, from Chicago, a pain management Dr. Wu, from Chicago Northwest University Medical College, Professor Dr. Zhang Qiang, and from Miaoli in Taiwan, Dr. Hong and family, Dr. Ryan Zhuang and his wife, Sunny Line Dancers, Dharma Sister Lin Yixin, Dharma Sister Cai Meiyue, and Dharma Brother Liang, and Dr. Gao, and from the Tianyin Yayue choir group, Dharma Sisters Gao and Dharma Sister Zhang. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do? Next Sunday, June 19th, the main deity for Homa would be Amitayus Tathagata, the Buddha of longevity. Welcome to become the primary supplicants. If you want to have good health and longevity, if you have a long life, you want to be healthy, then you would be free of cares. If you live a long life but unhealthy, then that would be miserable. The Homa today is that of the White Lotus King, which was transmitted the first time in Hong Kong. The ceremony was held the first time in Hong Kong. The first time was held in Hong Kong. As I said before, the Shambhala Pure Land, at Shambhala, most people practice Kalachakra because at the earliest time, Sakyamuni Buddha, at the Vulture Peak, he emanated himself to go to South India at the auspicious rice gathering stupa, and in South India, and transmitted the Kalachakra Dharma or Kalachakra Tantra for the Dharma king Yue Xuan. And upon hearing it, the Dharma king Yue Xuan brought it back to Shambhala, Shambhala Pure Land. And from then on, there was Kalachakra in Shambhala. So the first king of Shambhala was the title king, and the second king was the White Lotus King. So the White Lotus King wrote the pith instructions of Kalachakra Tantra, the quintessence of Kalachakra, in the Immaculate Light Treatise. So what does immaculate mean? The sky is immaculate. There is no contamination to it. The sky is far and vast. It's not the sky that we see, a blue sky. So white clouds on the blue sky, or dark clouds, or whatever happens to the sky, the original sky is forever pure, because the sky, the true sky, is never contaminated. So the immaculate or uncontaminated means this. And the light, the clear light, means without contamination. When it is immaculate, there's always clear light. So that's the key meaning of the Immaculate Light Treatise. So the White Lotus King authored the Immaculate Light Treatise. And the White Lotus King is also the White Lotus Youth, or the White Padmakumara. They're exactly the same. In the most ancient sutra called Mahabharata, India's most ancient sutra, it stated that Shambhala's king, Yue Xuan, received the oral transmission of Kalachakra Tantra from an emanation of Sakyamuni at the auspicious rice gathering stupa. And then the lineage of Kalachakra Tantra was passed down through 25 generations. The first one was the title king, an emanation of Manjusri. The second king was the White Lotus King. And his most well-known works are the Immaculate Light Treatise, which is the Kalachakra Tantra essence, and the auspicious supreme vows. So White Lotus King wrote several books. And he was the most famous king of the Shambhala kingdom, and his fame radiated throughout the 10 directions. There are many benefits in practicing the White Lotus King, that you can become Padmakumara, you will be reborn in any pure land, that parents and relatives from many lifetimes, this is filial piety. By practicing the White Lotus King Dharma, we have many parents and relatives from many lifetimes because we live many lifetimes, and they all will attain liberation and be reborn in the Buddha lands. That this is quite special. And fourth, one will attain the wisdom of the Tathagata, or the Buddha's wisdom. And this is called siddhi, or attainment. And the fifth point, if you're reborn in the human world, you will become a great Dharma king with great wisdom, great Prajna Dharma king. And you would be able to exercise transcendental power naturally and subjugate the four maras. And the last attainment is the immaculate clear light and self-mastery. So White Lotus King can widely deliver sentient beings, salvage sentient beings, be compassionate towards sentient beings, and generate bodhicitta. So the White Lotus King Dharma is a remarkable Dharma. So that's the introduction of the White Lotus King. And the practice procedure will be announced very fast. It's already on the internet. There's mantra and the look, the appearance, and the mantra recited by the mouth, and the mudra formed. The mudra of White Lotus King is the same as that of Padma Kumara. Yesterday I mentioned one thing. So it's the Sancai youth visiting 53 Mahasiddhas. Did he visit Sukasiddhi? The 27th visit was Poshimini. Was that the same as Sukasiddhi? We're not sure yet. Is Poshimini is Sukasiddhi? So Sukasiddhi should also be a siddha from spiritual cultivation, and Poshimini was also a siddha, an adept. The old witch from Vancouver kept asking Grandmaster, so Virupa could make the 61-year-old Sukasiddhi into a 16-year-old lady. So Grandmaster, do you have this way, this method? Where is this old witch from Vancouver? How old are you? She's not here? She went back home last night. She has to work on Sundays. She kept asking me if I could change her into 16. She asked this, how you can become young is because of the hormone. one ages because the hormones decreases. And when you are at the top of your youth at about 25, the hormone inside your body is at its fullest at 25, and gradually the hormones decrease. And in the 40s, like melatonin, which is the sleep-inducing hormone, would decrease to about half when you reach 40s. However, everybody's body is different. Some people are still young, but they look old. And some people are already old, but they look young. Like the 4 small girls from California, they look youthful. So this is related to the hormone, the term in medical science. And there's another thing is about the qi. So the upper body qi, lower body qi, the life qi, the fire accompanying qi, and the peripheral qi. If all these 5 types of qi are smooth and flowing smoothly inside your body, and your blood and qi are circulating well, then you would look young. But if there's obstructions to the flow of blood and qi, then there would be pain, blockage, would be illness, sicknesses. So Aloha, who came from Hawaii, I don't know her name. I would always call her Aloha. Where is she? She's right there. The first time she met me, she said Genki Aruka in Japanese, and I replied Genki Aru. But if you replied Genki Monai, then that'll be the end of it, because your qi is gone. Genki is like qi, because when you have qi, then you look good, and you have spirits, you're energetic, and you're youthful. Doesn't matter how old you are. You always look youthful and energetic. This is most important. So Genki is the vital energy. When the Japanese write letters, they would write their names in the front. Japanese name is Chankuzi, sun. In Chinese, it sounds young. What does it mean? Some. And I don't quite understand. Anyone knows Japanese? Sounds like a Japanese name, but in Chinese it sounds like without underpants. And she changed her name into wearing underpants. It's a joke. But when Japanese write letters at the end, always write that wish you well. So the vital energy represents youth. So with energy and with the hormone, So if you have lots of hormone, then you would look youthful. And if the hormone decreases, then you would age. Like Chen Chuanfang said, at 40s, you start to gain weight. At 50s, that you're at the prime of your middle age. At 60s, your blood pressure is increasing. At 70s, you start to forget, and at 80s you wobbly, and at 90s you forget about everything. At 100 you hang on the wall. But it rhymes in Chinese. So a human being would age and die. That's definite. So it's good enough to extend your lifespan. Last night, the white Tara came to find me, and she sang a song. I could not remember the song. She sang several times in the sky, next to my bed, and I turned my body toward her, and she moved to my back, and she sang again to let me remember the song. But at 70s, I can't remember. When I woke up, I remembered a little bit. That the moon is round and you sleep so sweetly. And the distance between you and I are not far. The first part of the song was like something like that. And the second verse was saying one is in heaven and one is on earth. And yet, all the same, we can get together. The second verse sounds like this. And the third verse, so the gentleman and the goddess is plucking the lute and wishing you a long life. That verse. And she was saying something like, in heaven, I've prepared a divine banquet for you. And the last verse I forgot. And I'll think about it and try to remember it, and then let me see if I can write it. So there are signs if you have yogic response or attainments, like Virupa. For 7 nights in a row, he had signs of attainments. Here it was recorded in China history. The great master Xuanzang studied from Silabhadra at Nalanda monastery in India. let me talk about the great master Xuanzang. And what he mastered studying in India was consciousness only, or Yogacara. And the two masters who transmitted that are Vasubandhu and Asanga. So Tianqin or Siqin is the same. And that's Vasubandhu. And Wuzhuo is Asanga. They are two brothers belonging to the Yogacara school. And they studied from Maitreya and received lineage transmission from Maitreya Bodhisattva. And the great master Xuanzang, after completing his study, he, in order to obtain Pandita position in India, there was the debate that anyone can ask him questions. If you are not beaten by any of the questions, then you would be called a Pandita. But if you could not pass, then you will not become a Pandita. It's like an exam, like a test. There are lots of questions, and there are also oral tests. Several people would stand up and ask you questions. So the great master Xuanzang built a very tall Dharma seat, and then another Dharma seat. If there's someone that climbed on the Dharma seat and asked him question and he couldn't answer to that question, then you need to get down from the stage. Then you're not a Pandita, you're not a Siddha. But if you provide the correct answers that satisfy the questioner, then you're Pandita. So the great master Xuanzang built a very tall stupa and sat on it. And there were many Panditas from India asked him questions. According to what I know, that the great master Xuanzang, upon returning to China, was very majestic, very dramatic. You know, I don't, because in my study I don't know how to pronounce all these Chinese words. They say Guiji, I say Jianji. Isn't that a different thing? Isn't that the one in Japan? You say Kuiji, I can't remember that, but if you say so Xuanzang passed it to Jianji. So Xuanzang built a tall pagoda. And of course he was a Pandita because no one came up and asked him any questions based on what I know. So he built a tall pagoda, and the opponent also built a tall pagoda, and Xuanzang was seated on it from morning till night and falling asleep. But nobody climbed up on the opponent's pagoda to ask him questions. So of course he went back to China with prestige and with awe. That's what I knew. I don't know. Were there anybody debating with him? Nobody did. Then of course she went back to China with great prestige and awe because nobody tested him. Of course he was the highest. The great master Xuanzang. Where is he? So according to Tibetan legend, the reliable tantric acharya lineage started from Virupa or Biliupo or Bivapa. And Virupa and Shantideva both studied at Nalanda Monastery under Jayadeva. So Dharmapala was born into a royal family in Jhansi city in South India, and he went to Nalanda Monastery to become ordained to become a bhikkhu. And according to the Tibetan records, in Nalanda he followed Dignaga and became the abbot of the monastery at his young age, when he was only 20. And in central India, he also strongly appeased some deviant believers and Hinayana practitioners. So he was very he strongly opposed the deviant believers and Hinayana practitioners. And when he was the abbot of Nalanda Monastery, he received a disciple who was 1 year older than he, named Silabhadra, who became a remarkable disciple of the school. When Dharmapala was 29, due to his health problems, he retired and left Nalanda Monastery to go to Bodh Gaya. And he stayed at the Mahabodhi temple at Bodh Gaya for 3 to 4 years, practicing contemplation and composing or writing. And at 32, he passed away. So this record may not be accurate because he changed his name and became a yogi. At 32, he passed. He left the world, changed the name, and went deep into the mountains to become a yogi. Although, according to the Tibetan legend, he was under the Naga school, in reality it wasn't clear. Having said that, his Dharma teaching were indeed related to Dignagas. And upon Dharmapala's retirement, Silabhadra succeeded him as the abbot of Nalanda and gave Dharma teachings. And the one succeeded Silabhadra was Jana Prabhu. And then Chandrakirti succeeded as the abbot. And then later on, it was Shantideva, who was well versed in all studies inside and outside the school. And afterward, he went to Nalanda to become ordained and entered into the monastic life and become a follower in Jayadeva's school. So Jayadeva was a follower of Dharmapala. So the abbots or the dean of Nalanda, the first one would be Dignaga, second Dharmapala, third Silabhadra, fourth Jana Prabhu, fifth Chandrakirti, sixth Jayadeva, and seventh Shantideva, according to legend. So yesterday I mentioned what is Yogacara and what is Madhyamaka. That as Buddhists we need to know what is Yogacara and what is the Dharma of Yogacara. The Dharma is based on the 7 roots: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, and the root of the mind, or alaya, the 8 consciousness. Because the alaya consciousness, or the Tathagata Garbha, so the Tathagata of the Tathagata Garbha should be discovered from the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, the root of mind and alaya. And then at the 8th consciousness of alaya, there would be the clear light radiance of the Tathagata. When you open the alaya consciousness, then you would be able to see the Buddha. Then you would attain Siddhi. That's based on the Yogacara school. And according Madhyamaka school, according to In Xun Dao Si, Nagarjuna, the middle view, and the 12 and the 100 views, and these threes are considered as the 3 views. And so the 3 view school is studies based on the three views, and In Xun Dao Si based on the Madhyamaka school. So what it means is you take away all the sight ways. So you don't go to the left, you don't go to the right, but you go to the site that's not the site. That's really marvelous and amazing. What we just burned was a kind of penis, but it sounds the same in Chinese, but it's not related. So you don't go to the left, you don't go to the right, you don't go to the center. So what are you relying on is the marvel. So this kind of marvels belongs to the Madhyamaka school. So those, the sect of Madhyamaka, Zhongguan Yinchen Pai. So the Gelugpa of Tibetan Buddhism now is rely on this Madhyamaka Yinchen, that you should have attainment sect. So you don't go to the left, you don't go to the right. So look at Zen Buddhism. You don't think of the good and you don't think of the bad. You don't rely on good nor bad. So at that moment, that's the moment. It's the same in Zen Buddhism. So you don't think of good nor bad. That's the moment. That was spoken by the 6th patriarch Huineng. So this kind of attainment is considered the middle view. So Yogacara is this way, Madhyamaka is that way. That's all just approximation. And there is a sastra, Lu Zhong Lun. Anyone has seen it? It's a very heavy book. It's called Madhyamaka Vatara. And then there are also the three Vataras, the 12 Vataras, the 100 Vataras. So I'm just giving you a concept what Yogacara is about and what Madhyamaka is about. Yes, last night, the first time I played chess with the wife, and the husband said, your ji can turn, but you said your horse can't go. But your pao, this is like the Chinese chess, that they can hit so many, and I endure it. And your shoulders can walk backward. It's very special, so I endure it. And your elephant can cross the river. Well, if it's a flying elephant, that's fine. But you use my commander to kill my general. And then you said that's the spy that you that you sent into my camp. How could I endure that? This is so the wife is always wins. The wife is always the winner, and we are the loser. If you want to be over your wife, then you would know. If you are stronger than your wife, then you would have no food to eat, no more breakfast, no more supper. Then you have to take care of yourself in the kitchen, or else just go to bed. So, man, please just endure it. This is too strong. So many people have differing opinions about Virupa. That's why the history was not accurate. So many of them are not accurate records. This is the problems of the middle-aged group. The position is not high, the salary is not high, but the blood pressure, the blood sugar, and the lipids are high. You know, the job is not protruding, which means it's not remarkable, but the spine is protruding. This is clear for Chinese. Yeah, it's clear for Chinese. That you burn when you cook, but you don't win at mahjong. That doesn't mean. This is just a joke about middle-aged people. So actually, Indian Buddhist philosophers, there are lots of jokes about them. There's this joke. Dong Zhuo, a character in history, invited the general for drinks and ordered that all the ladies should wear very thin clothes without undergarments, and to show their femininity. But they need to use charcoal to wipe on their breast. And then with the breeze, all the candles were extinguished. So Dong Zhuo asked them to lit the candles again. But then Dong Zhuo discovered that all the guests have black charcoals on their hands. Only the big general Li Bu have a pair of clean hands. So Dong Zhuo was very pleased and wanted to toast Li Bu. But Li Bu laughed happily. But his teeth were all black. This is a joke. I once said, this is psychology. This is psychology. in my opinion, based on my observations since young, since I was young, that all men are horny. There is no exception. The difference is whether you cultivate or not. If you cultivate and can control yourself, if you cultivate, then you can control yourself. If you don't cultivate, you can't control yourself. So there's a difference if you cultivate, because by cultivating spiritually, you would know the precepts, the rules. Then you can control your own body, speech, and mind. But those who cannot control themselves, then they can't control themselves. Some people, it's physiological. So like look at the rapists. Because their physiology is slightly different from normal people. They can't control themselves. Some people, although they know the precepts, they know that Buddha Dharma is good, and they cultivate spiritually, but they still can't control themselves. There was a disciple that asked me, Grandmaster, I can't control myself. And then what do you ask for? Grandmaster, do you have a talisman that I can take to control his desire, his sex drive? But I said, this is something that you need to control yourselves, that you have been practicing Buddhism and you need to keep in mind the precepts, and gradually you would be able to control yourself. But if you can't control yourself, you know, I have checked all the foods or talismans transmitted by my guru, but there is no such talisman. Maybe a doctor have an injection or just lock you in. Then it'll be as if you're taking an intoxicant or drugs, that when you get hung up on it, then you're dead. It's the same with desire. Once you get obsessed to it, then you're out of control. Addictive. So I think that by practicing Buddhism, you know there are precepts, and by abiding by the precepts, you would be able to have stability. Then with stability, you would be able to enhance or generate wisdom. There's a statement, a poem that I recited. What was it called? Do you remember?
不斩圣贤斩凡夫啊，美女腰间挂宝剑。
There is a sword on the waist of a beautiful lady, not chopping the head of the sages, it chops the head of mundane beings. I missed the third line. If you are addictive or indulge in this sexual drive, then your face would become triangular and would droop, and your spirit and energy would dissipate. You need to study Buddhism and practice the chi, the channels, the light drops until you become non-leaking. Like Virupa, he must have reached the realm of non-leaking. In Tantrayana, the non-leaking practice is the practice that Virupa had attained in order for him to transform Sukha Siddhi from 61 to 16. It must have been the non-leaking Dharma practice. So the non-leaking Dharma is something that you have to attain. So once you attain non-leaking, it's easy to generate or to ignite the inner fire. And once ignited, your blood and chi would circulate smoothly for the man. And then you use your blood and chi to induce or to circulate the blood and chi of the consort, and to let her generate a great bliss. At the time of great bliss, that the hormones would be excreted from the brain to fill the whole body. Only this way a 61-year-old would be transformed into a 16-year-old. This is the method. The man can use his own a full and robust blood and chi to induce the smooth circulation of blood and chi of the lady. And then at great bliss, from her brain, dopamine would be excreted to fill the whole body and to rejuvenate, to become youthful. So this is the reason why a 61-year-old can become a 16-year-old. A woman can't sleep at night, and she called on a Taoist master to exorcise the ghost. And she said, it's very interesting. I was climbing the stairs and the steps broke down. And then I sat on a chair and the chair broke. And the scariest one, when I was sleeping at night, and the bed too broke. So, Taoist master, please help me, I'm so scared. And the master said, took the walnut wood and point to her and shouted loudly, you silly, you should lose weight. There are many things that were created by yourself, not by others. Similarly, honey, what do you think of my figure? Really good. You're lying. My secret friend told me that I have no waist. She must have been blind because she can't even see a huge waist like that. Who did it? You did it yourself. So please don't blame on others. Lots of things are not other people's mistakes. They turn out to be your own mistakes. So you always think that many things are other people's mistakes. Actually, no. Actually, your own mistakes. As Buddhists, you need to be very disciplined toward yourself and very tolerant and forgiving toward others. That's a really nice integrity.
感谢圣经精彩宝贵的法语开示，请大家